we're going to start the meeting with a prayer, and we're going to have James is going to lead us in the prayer.
Amen.
James Kilpatrick.
Father, we want to thank you so much. We give you the praise and the honor and the glory for all that's good in our lives and this great country you've placed us in. We just ask you to give us the wisdom and knowledge to select the good leaders that we need to carry out your will for this nation. And Lord, to make it a blessing to people of this land. We ask you to continue to bless us. We thank you so much for the food that you provided for all these people, for the candidates that have come to give their knowledge and to give us the insight to their candidacy. We just ask you to continue to be with us, and we thank you for it all in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, James. Okay, we're going to do a flag salute, and it's tradition for us to always have the oldest veteran present. First, I'll ask to see a show of hands of all the veterans that are present here tonight. Look at that. Good showing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. That's pretty darn good. I'm going to bet on Ellen Weldon. So let me just cut to the chase here and say, is there any veteran present who is older than 65? Okay, so we got 2 here. How about older than 70? Still, Alan, are you raising your hand, or you?
It's time for somebody else to do it.
Okay, well, James led the prayer, though. Oh, you know what? I spoke wrong, because, Jim, I have no idea how old you are. Why don't you lead us and then tell us about your, just briefly, about your branch of service that you served in, and if you would go ahead and stand, everybody stand, and we'll face the flag here. And Jim, please lead us in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may sit down. Jim, would you tell us, Jim Walker, can you tell us a little bit about your service?
Well, most of my time I served overseas. I was a VHF, UHF operator, and then I ended up with a second MOS as code and teletype operator. Loved my job. I set up test shots all over the country for Uncle Sam, for the Army. I probably would have re-enlisted, but I was non-existent. And being non-existent meant that you could not get rank.
Okay.
So there was like 5 of us in our group, and none of us could get any rank at all. We would watch people come in that had maybe 6, 8 months, and they're getting another stripe, and we're getting nothing, and we're in a critical MOS.
Right, because you're top secret.
So I said, well, shucks. I guess I'm out of here.
So how long did you serve, Jim?
Pardon me?
How long did you serve
Just
total?
a couple of years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your service.
If I could
Monica?
add,
Sure, Monica.
If anybody happened to come over from Europe back to the United States in 1966 in March, you might have seen that.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, I would like to hear that story too, Monica, but we'll do it another time. Okay, Jennifer, did your daughter make it in?
She's not in yet.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to lead. We're going to do a short song that everybody knows so we don't have to hand out song sheets. We're going to do God Bless America, okay? Don't let me sing it alone. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. That was great. Okay.
Round us all out.
I don't think lead singer.
I don't think so. I think we got a lot of leaders on that one. Okay, the minutes are well done by Brian Koss in the back, and he's creating minutes for the next meeting. You can click on that or go to that, and he did a great job again. I will say this on the treasurer's report, before you turn there, I was alerted to a very serious problem on the treasurer's report, and that is under the expenses for the non-designated KRA funds. I have it listed as 1 month on the, or 2 months on the bank processing fees. I had put that on there, Lord knows when, and I didn't erase it. That is for 24 months, not for 1 month. So divide that $2,693.76 by 24, it comes to just over $100 with both there's 2 separate charges, and so that comes to a total of just over $100 a month. That's still too much. I don't like to pay all these fees, but that's where we are. Either that or you don't get to accept credit cards, and that is a big thing. I mean, if you can't accept credit cards, I know this from handling the donations on the Kansas Coalition for Life side. You have people just on a whim will say, yeah, go ahead and take 5,000. I'm saying, whoa, just like that on a card. I'm saying, I'm glad we're able to accept credit cards because people do that. So I don't want to get rid of this. We can make that up literally in 1 donation, but that's where we're at. The rest of the report is as stated. As far as I know, everything is correct. We're not quite broke. The bottom line balance there is $831.56. So if you want to join, and there are several ways you can join, either with a standard membership, or we have 3 levels of supporting memberships, all the way from $100, $250, or $500 supporting memberships. If you would like to do that, we're happy to have you. And if you want to join what the cheapest membership, that's 3 years for $25, or 1 year for $10. You really can't go wrong. And we pay a $5 annual national fee per member, so that's it doesn't leave us a whole lot. But there's other ways to raise funds besides membership fees. Okay, moving right along here. Does anyone need more time to look at the treasurer's report?
I didn't get a paper.
You didn't get one? Let's see here. Here you are. If you didn't get one, raise your hand. Here. Can you do me a favor? Here we go. Get those out to whoever needs them. Sorry about that.
More coffee, guys?
Okay. Obviously, we have school board candidates tonight, and I want to get right to this. So the video, we don't normally take, since we've been doing the video minutes, approve or disapprove, you can't argue with the video. It's pretty much there, okay? But I would like to have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as corrected.
I make a motion.
Okay, James has made a motion to accept our treasurer's report as corrected. Do I have a second to that motion? I have one from Cindy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Okay, now we get to the meat of why we're here. We've got a school board election coming up November 2nd, and we have tonight 4 school board candidates. Thank each one of you for coming. And what I would like to do right now is in district order, and you help me with this here, in district order, hold on, I have to look here. I left an important paper on the desk at home, having no reason to do that, but I did. Okay. I think it's going to be Diane, first district. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's the one I needed. Okay, so Diane, can you lead us off and give us an introduction of no longer than 3 minutes, okay? And what I'm going to do is take this phone and set the timer right now. So stand up and
Very
tell us
good.
who you are and why you're running.
Yeah, so my name is Diane Albert, and thank you guys for coming out tonight. I've been married to my husband for 13 years. I have 3 stepchildren. I've got 5 grandkids. The kids are all grown and out of the house. So I've got 3 grandkids in Andover, and I've got 2 grandkids in North Carolina. So our youngest son is in the Navy. So my husband's been in the military. He got out of the military after about 11 and a half years, so we've got a lot of military history with our family. I've got a background in business. I've owned a franchise. I've owned a construction remodeling business, so I'm not usually dressed up this fancy. I'm usually swinging a hammer and doing remodeling work or some kind of woodworking. So if you see me during the day, I'm usually covered in sawdust. But the reason why I decided to run for school board is over the last almost 2 years, we've all been through COVID, and I believe COVID's exposed a lot of things. I didn't pay that much attention to local politics before COVID hit, and COVID's really exposed the amount of control that local politicians, local leaders have over us in their decision making. And I kind of bring it to the analogy of an airplane pilot. If all the passengers in the back of the airplane want to go somewhere, and the pilot says, no, we're going to New York, and all the passengers say, no, we want to go to San Francisco, guess where the airplane's going to go?
New York.
New York. The decision makers are sitting at the table. And I feel I can make common sense decisions. I feel I can make tough decisions during these times that we're living in. We need common sense leaders that can listen to all sides, that can hear from the parents' perspective and make tough choices. We need leaders that can give parents the freedom and ability to make the choices that are best for their health, their family, and their children. Because I can say up here all day long that I love your kids, I love our city, I love all the kids in the school, but the parents are never we will never love your kids as much as you love your kids.
That's right.
You're going to make the best decisions for your children, whether it be health, whether it be for schools. And I want to give the parents those choices back. I want to let the parents know that they've got the decisions, they've got the choices to make for their children, and they don't need to co-parent with the government anymore. So that's why I'm running.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Brent, it looks like you're up next.
Well, ladies first.
Huh?
Ladies first.
Okay, fair enough. Julie,
Okay.
go for it.
Question over here.
Yes. Yes. Bill?
Briefly, 10 seconds, could they
Pardon?
tell a little what part of the area of the city they're in, what District 1 means?
Okay, you can go ahead and answer. Do you know your district boundaries?
Yeah, it's kind of a squiggly line. So it's like central and kind of 135 and north, and then it kind of goes Oliver, Woodlawn, Rock, and then not all the way out north because District 6 kind of loops around on the far north side. So it's kind of a strange map.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, Julie, I'm sorry, you go next.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Julie Hedrick, and Brent and I are both running in District 2. And I am the incumbent, and Brent is one of my opposition that is not an incumbent. I ran for the school board 4 years ago and was elected, and am running again today for the same reason. I think that we have a great school district, and I want to keep it great. I want to do my part in giving back to the district because I feel like the district has given me a lot. I am a product of Wichita Public Schools. My husband of 43 years is a product of Wichita Public Schools. Both of my daughters attended Wichita Public Schools, and now both of my grandchildren attend Wichita Public Schools. So I am very invested in the district. And in addition to attending and having all of my family attend, I was also an employee of the district for 28 and a half years. So with my 28 and a half years of an employee, and then I did some contract employment work, and then 4 years on the BOE, I'm very familiar with our district. And I know the inner workings of the district. I have a lot of relationships in the district, and so the knowledge of how to get things done and the relationships of how to get things done is a significant part of what I bring to the board. I love kids. I'm passionate about them. I want to put them first in every decision, but would any of us be here if we didn't care about the kids of our district? But we had an opportunity to make pledges. All employees did, and BOE members did, to make pledges for our year of service. And my pledge has always been that kids are first. I'm a proponent of public education. I've been a strong advocate for not only kids, but also for teachers and staff and families of kids. And I do listen to all sides, and I listen and consider and then make my decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now Brent, your turn.
Thank you. I'm a candidate for school board for USD 259 District 2, and running against the incumbent, Julie Hedrick. And also there's another person running, Justin Bork, I think his name is.
I couldn't find him, could not get a hold of him.
And at the League of Women Voters group, he had some cards there, but I don't know if he brought them or how they got there, but he wasn't there either. So
He doesn't list any contact information with the Election Commissioner's office.
Interesting.
Well, I grew up in Wichita, except for a 5-year stint in Manhattan, Kansas, where my mom got her master's in guidance and counseling, and she was a counselor here in the Derby school system, and then moved to Florida when I moved to Orlando in 1988, and then she was part of turning around an inner city Orlando school and turning it from one of the lowest performing schools in the state to one of the highest performing schools in the state. They won a number of awards for turning that school around. So I've been thinking about running for school board a long time. I went to Allen Elementary, I went to Northview up in Manhattan, I went to Caldwell Elementary, Curtis Junior High School, and I graduated from Southeast in 1981. And when I was a senior at Southeast in 1981, I ran for school board. So I had somebody that took an interest in me, thought that I showed some potential and that sort of thing, and so I ran for school board. And then as I was running, one of the principals of the USC 259, who happened to be a member of my church, kind of, cornered me in the fellowship at church and said, "Brent, seriously, do you have the experience? Do you have the life experience to counsel us on how we should educate our children in USC 259?" And I thought about that, and I'm like, I decided to withdraw. And so since then, I've had an educational services business I've been running for the last 20 years. And 10 years of that, we had a regionally accredited private school. And I've seen my mom's turnaround efforts with that poor inner city school in Orlando. I've been part of the best school in the Washington state school system, Mercer Island, Washington, and tutored many students to much higher SAT scores there in Mercer Island. And I've had 15 National Merit Scholars in the last 4 years. And so I did my master's in educational funding and student achievement in Kansas Public Schools in my master's project in economics. And so I'm ready to make a change. Right now, USC 259 has had a decreasing achievement every year for the last 8 years. And it's at 2019, 82% were below grade level in math, 77% below grade level in English, and that's unacceptable. And we haven't done anything to turn that around. We're going to have to change things. That's why we have 4 candidates running to get a new majority on the school board so that we can implement the processes that we need to implement so we can improve student achievement and protect our families in Wichita.
Thank you. Okay, Ron, you're next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ron Rosales, and I'm the District 6 current representative on the school board, 259. District 6 runs from Midtown, Douglas, kind of carves a narrow path up through central, north central Wichita, up towards Park City, and then around towards Bel Air. Let's see, I've been a product of Wichita all my life. I retired from the Navy, and so just kind of in and out. And graduated from North High School, went through all the feeders, Horseman, Cloud School, and I was born and raised here in Wichita. And currently I still am a teacher. I teach out at Hayesville High School, and if you don't know where that's at, it's not campus, it's actually a spin-off school of campus. It's over on Meridian and 73rd Street, I think it is. So I've been there for about 6 years. This is my 16th year of teaching, and I teach history for high school. So I spent 10 years in the Wichita Public Schools at Curtis Middle School, I think where you went to school at. So yeah, 10 years there, and then got my master's at Newman, and then went over to Hayesville High School. I first started assisting teaching, para, and then of course they had an opening come up, so I went ahead, applied for it, and it's a good program. My main reason initially, and it's still the same reason I got into the school board, was basically to represent a large chunk of people that make up about 37% of our schools, which are Hispanic people. Not to say I don't leave anybody out, but that's one group that I feel that was lacking representation, not only on the school board, but just city government in general. So again, I was born and raised in Wichita. I still live in the same area. Some people think I'm crazy for doing that, but I still live in the same area where I was born and raised, right over, if you guys know where Connie's Mexico Cafe is, just right around the corner from there. So I've lived there all my life. I'm very connected with my, my community, various church groups around my community, and so I really value the people that are there as well as the people in Wichita. So, you know, being on the school board these last 4 years, I would just say, look at my track record. Like everybody I think said here, I do listen to everybody. I've learned that in the military, sometimes the hard way. You really have to analyze situations. You have to be open to different, you know, not interpretations, but different scenarios, and then make some good judgments and decisions. And of course, I teach. So if I don't know how many teachers are in here, but you know you have to make quick decisions, good decisions all the time. Again, my name is Ron Rosales. I'm your candidate for 6th District.
You say you live in the same neighborhood?
Yes.
I'm not from Kansas. Where exactly was that neighborhood at?
Well, if you don't know where Connie's Mexico Cafe is, it's on.
I know where Reuben's at. I go out to eat a lot. I'm from Reuben's. Yeah.
Connie's
I'm from Texas.
All right, all right.
Okay, so where exactly was that at?
Connie's Mexico Cafe is on 23rd and Broadway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't eaten there, you should.
It's very good.
I've been there watching news.
Okay.
Next question.
So yeah, we're gonna take questions now. This is a moderated question thing, and I see several hands already. Monica, I saw yours first. Okay, but I just want to settle a few ground rules. We don't have the time for a speech from everybody. We'd rather you be concise and get the question, because we want all 4 of these candidates to be able to answer these questions, and they have up to 2 minutes. If you don't, for the candidates, if you don't need the full 2 minutes, it's nice to get fresh questions, you know, from others. Also, if your question is directed at one candidate more than the others, or if it's specifically for one candidate, then say that, so that we don't have to go through the dog and pony show of going through all 4 candidates. So with that in mind, Brian, was there something technical or anything that I need?
Question.
The question, go ahead.
It was a question for everyone.
Okay, let me take Monica first and then you second.
Well,
Okay.
first a general question, so only one incumbent is in front of us, is that all?
No, we have 2
Two
incumbents.
incumbents, okay.
Okay, the 2 incumbents are right here, close to me, and the 2 challengers are right at
So I do
the
have a
far end.
question for Ron.
Is this for both just for Ron, okay?
One for him later.
Okay, very good. Well, you're gonna only get one question, or likely, time-wise, because I saw a lot of hands.
Well, just, what was your master's in? You didn't say.
Curriculum and instruction.
Pardon?
Curriculum and instruction. So I got that along with my ESL. When I was at Curtis Middle School, I got my ESL endorsement, so English for second language learners. And so I went ahead and attached that on there. And unfortunately in Hayesville, there's not a lot. There are a few that I still, use that.
What's the name of the campus spinoff you mentioned?
Hayesville High School, very simple, yeah. Very easy to remember. And it's actually, so it's connected to campus, and we're still under their guidance, but the students that go to Hayesville High School, majority of them come from campus for various reasons. A lot of schools call them alternative schools or completion centers or credit recovery centers, and it's pretty popular, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, Brian, go ahead.
All right. Hypothetical situation, but if it sounds like you may have already been in a similar situation, please explain how, if your point of view has changed over time. Hypothetical situation, school's been in a few weeks, and for whatever reason, a vote for masks and potential mask mandates comes up. What is your vote and why?
Great question. Is that for all four?
Everyone.
Okay.
But if you've already been in that situation,
Okay.
please explain if your point of view has changed.
Brent, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll work this way. This first time is not always going to be that way, but we'll go from Brent this direction.
Well, there's a lot of contention about masks, so that's a great question. So I haven't been in a position where I've had to decide to mandate masks or not for a group. So what I do is I respect the individual person's decision, and if a person wants me to wear a mask, then I'll wear a mask with them, and if they don't, I don't wear a mask. I have done some research on masks. I haven't done extensive research. If I was going to be making the decision about a school system, I'd get all the best current research I could get. And I think that we shouldn't just knee-jerk go with a particular authority. We need to listen to what the parents say, listen to what research is out there, and try to do the best thing for all of our students. And in a school system the size of USC 259, I think there's potentially room for some students and teachers to be masked and some not, if they choose not to, especially if they feel that it's not as healthy. Because we need to have some sharing of our microbiome to keep our immunity strong, right? So we get more people sick when they've been masked and not being able to, and not around other people for periods of time. So that's not good. And so one thing is for sure, we've got to not shut people down. We've got to listen to the different voices. And what we've been doing in America the last year and a half, 2 years, is trying to shut down voices that have dissenting opinions. You need to listen to those people. And I think that we have probably a situation in Wichita where we could have some people mask, some not, and then do a study and see who's healthier. It's kind of like Daniel, when he didn't want to eat the king's rich food, he said, just serve me vegetables and water. And the guy says, I don't want you to be, less healthy than the other guys. He says, just test us. Just test us. The king says, do this. Don't do that. You give us vegetables. And
30 seconds.
Guess who was healthier?
30 seconds. Okay. All right. Diane?
Yeah, I would agree with what Brent just said. Because I have a construction background, I'm pretty familiar with how masks work, the different types of them, the different sizes of them, surgical, respirator, because I've worn them all. I've spray painted a lot of things. I used to be a painter.
Sorry, your time is not up yet.
That's enough. So I do agree that we need to listen to both sides, but these are personal health decisions. and they're personal. So we should not get into big camps. We should be able to be at peace with one another, where we can make different decisions and we don't hate the other team. So I would not vote for a mandate at all, because a one-size-fits-all plan, especially when it comes to health, and something that's not, there's just no studies to prove that they're effective. I can't support, we've got the study down in Florida, and it was a small sample size, but those parents put those masks to a lab, and they came back with things that were pneumonia-causing bacteria, meningitis. And so when we say safety first, it really just means in today's day and age that not catching COVID. I wouldn't want meningitis to be touching my mouth all day when I just don't believe it's proven effective at all. But if you want to wear one, wear one. So that's my position.
Ron?
Well, yeah, we've been in, as you know, we have been in through a lot of situations with mask and unmask, back and forth. And so with my voting record, I could say that I've been on both sides. And to back up last fall, when we mandated masks for everybody, I think we went too far, and we left a lot of students out in the cold, especially for extracurriculars. They weren't able to play sports in the fall. So I really advocated for a lot of those students and coaches. I met with a lot of coaches all over the city and really asked them to really, if you guys really want to play, you need to provide some proof to the district so that way we can get this reinstated. So we did, even though we kept the mask, but we made some sort of compromises where if we're going to do this, if we're going to have mandates, if we're going to require the students, then we need to make sure that we compromise in some way, and that was with the extracurriculars. So we had sports, thankfully. A lot of the students were very relieved, and in my opinion, it was a good deal. Going into this year, we were optional. I voted for optional, and then as when I saw the numbers changing, then I voted for mask. It's a very complicated issue. Just real quick story. I was in a group of people who wanted to wear a mask. And I was one of the ones that was on the hot seat because I had voted optional. And then I asked the gentleman, I said, well, I'm thankfully you're telling me this, I really appreciate your feedback, but here's the thing. And it was a group of people about their size. Guess how many people had their mask on? Only 4 people. So it's confusing. We get mixed messages a lot from different people. I'm sure Julie would agree. But I know that's probably not the answer some of you guys are looking for, but I go by some of the feedback I get and some of the data I get. Thank you.
Julie?
Well, as Ron said, we've been through a lot with the COVID situation, and I would say in the midst of that, just like Ron did, that I've listened to people and that my vote hasn't always been the same every time. The data is very important to me in making my decision, because as much as possible, I want kids to be in school. We have learned through COVID how important it is for kids to be in school, how important their teachers are, how important it is for them to be in their sports and their activities, to be with their friends, for their mental health, to have their counselors and everyone, all their support system. And the mask situation has helped keep kids in school because we've had less quarantine, we've had quarantine situations. And currently the legislature has indicated that we can't do remote learning. If we could still have remote learning for kids when, as a possibility, then it might leave more options. But remote learning isn't a possibility. I want kids to be in school. I want them to be able to learn and get their education. And the wearing of the masks has kept more kids in school.
Thank you, Julie.
have a secondary question, if that's okay?
Well, I'll get you next, but I have a journalist here I wanted to mention. Raphael is with the Wichita Beacon. Those of us who are a little bit older know that we used to have a Wichita Eagle Beacon. I mean, that was before my time, but I mean, I know there was a Wichita Eagle Beacon. But Raphael is with the new Beacon, and he is the education reporter. So, Raphael, did you have a question here for them, or are you?
Oh, I'm sure I'll have a chance to chat with them.
Okay.
I'll defer to anybody else.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, Cindy.
Would you say about the fact that there are thousands of children that have left the district due to mask mandate? To my knowledge, at least, when I talked to the magnet lady this morning, at least 2,600 children left just last year.
Because of the mask
Because
mandate?
of the mask mandate. You've
Okay,
got
and
two
so what
right
is your
here that left this year.
what is the question that you're asking these candidates?
What would you say? You said you want to keep kids in school, but there are thousands of kids leaving school.
Okay, so your question is that if it would cause 1,000 children to leave the school, would you still support a mask mandate?
Thousands,
I-
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then are you wanting to address that to all four, or to just okay, to all four? Okay, if the question is, if mandating masks would cause at least 1,000 children to leave the school, would you still mandate masks? Is that fair? Okay. And this time we're gonna go from left to right instead of right to left. Julie?
Well, I think I was the one that made the
Made the comment.
Enrollment was down last year from COVID, and maybe you're particular to, you left them home because you didn't want them to have to wear masks. My daughter also is one that took her kids out of school and homeschooled them, but that was because of COVID, not because of wearing masks. It was because it wasn't safe to be around, or we didn't know at the time of the beginning of the year what was going to be safe or not. And so I don't know that we can say all 2,600 left the school because of mask mandate. I think it's a multi-layered problem with multi-layered questions that have to be considered and multi-layered issues at stake.
But she asked a hypothetical. If
Okay.
1,000 would leave, yes or no?
Amen.
She said,
Yes
if
or no?
1,000 students
Yes
are
or
going to
no?
leave because of a mask mandate, would you still support a mask mandate? Hypothetically.
I don't know what's going to happen on the other side, but just thinking of those 1,000 leaving, no, I don't want 1,000 kids to leave because of the mask mandate.
So then you would vote no on a mask mandate.
Well,
in that case.
yeah, I mean, again, with the data of 1,000 are leaving, just simply because of a mask mandate and everything else is equal, then I would not vote for a mask mandate.
Okay, Ron?
Well, I would have to say I probably would, because the fact is your children are still going to get educated. Doesn't matter if they go here or if they go to Goddard or if they go to Hayesville. My current district right now in Hayesville, we're going to mandate masks. So they have about 4,000 students there. So I don't know if they're going to leave because of it. But again, we, like Julie and I think some of the other candidates had alluded to, tough choices have to be made. That's how it is right now. And so I would definitely do it if it's for the safety of the overall body of the schools. So again, we've gone back and forth on both of these issues for mandating them, making them optional, mandating, and back and forth. And so, yeah, that's where I would stand. And again, going back to what Julie said, the 2,600, there was lots of reasons for a lot of the students to leave the schools.
Okay, all right, thank you. Diane?
Yeah, I'm not in support of any kind of mandates. I think that has introduced a very dangerous precedent in our country, where we're seeing it. At first, it was the shutdown, it was the mask mandates. Now we're seeing vaccine mandates. I don't agree with any mandates regarding COVID, because once again, it comes down to these are personal health decisions, and everybody has to make their own personal health decisions. I mean, we'd be much better suited if we mandated everybody take a vitamin D supplement. But I'm against mandates, so I wouldn't even support that. So, but seriously, take vitamin D. So no, I cannot ever support that. But I do agree that there is probably multifaceted reasons why people decided to leave. But we do feel strongly that Wichita is a very large school district, and there are a lot of complicated issues. But we can change that to where Wichita becomes a destination. I mean, I'm going to steal Brent's an education destination line. Sorry, Brent. Because we've got people flooding to our suburbs. You know, we've got Andover, Goddard, Mays. We've got all these areas that people with financial means have school choice. And then now some people are homeschooling, even without that financial means. So we want to bring students back into our district. I don't think the science supports the masks at all. So I do disagree with Julie on.
Diane, you're out of time.
Oh, sorry. We'll leave it at that. We'll finish up later.
30 seconds?
No, I'm just trying to say, if you would watch me, I will raise your.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Well, I'm familiar with the classical school of Wichita, and they didn't have masks in classrooms. They wore masks just in passing periods, and they never had any serious outbreaks. And I've known many of my students are state champion wrestlers, and they wrestled guys who they find out the guy they wrestled had COVID. So that guy gets, they have to quarantine for a couple days to get tested, and none of them ever got it. Okay, so the transmission between young people was very low. The chances of death are like, it's more likely you're going to get struck by lightning or die in a car accident than you are to die. And so, of COVID for young people. And the transmission rates early on were very low to teachers as well. And so, I mean, just looking at the science, it didn't make sense. Early on, the top scientists would say, we can send kids back to schools. So Scott Atlas from Stanford, and many other people. So I think that we should have gone back, and there's no need to mask kids. If you want to mask them when they're like in their passing period or something like that. Then when they can social distance in the classroom, then there shouldn't be a problem. If somebody's sick, they don't come to school. If somebody gets sick, quarantine people around them. That's what they did at Trinity. So there are other solutions that work very well, and they didn't have to resort to the mask or overall general mandate.
You got 30 seconds, but I'm not going to.
I think what we need to really be focused on is the fact that our achievement is going down, and we haven't been addressing that the last 8 years. That is just abysmal. The thing that we're supposed to do in schools is teach kids how to read, write, and do math, right? And do science, and not have to take a lot of remedial classes when they graduate. If your graduation rate goes up and everybody has to take expensive remedial classes going to college, or not be able to get into college, or not be able to get a job because they can't have job-ready skills, well, that is a travesty. And so we need to have 50% of our students getting certified, not 2%. We need to have everybody above grade level, not graduate a certain number.
Okay. James, I saw your hand before. Did your question already get answered or no?
No.
Okay, go ahead, James.
So that the public can know what is being taught in the public school system, will you put forward a motion that all schools have to post their curriculum and the books they use to teach that curriculum?
Okay, so do you understand the question?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay, go ahead. And this time, Ron, I'm going to start with you, and then I will go to Diane, then Julie, then Brent.
A lot of our curriculum is already online. If you go to our school website, and you can download some of the what are called pacing guides. They're out there, and of course you could just call up, ask about textbooks and that kind of stuff. But it's out there for what teachers teach in all grades, from primary to secondary.
Just answer that. I've done that with Andover and with Wichita Public Schools,
Mm-hmm.
and they won't give you the information. Now, it may be available because you segregate the students from the public. The people that have students have their own website, and they may be able to go to that. But I'm talking about John Q. Public. I want to know what's being taught in the 7th grade and what books they're using to teach the subject. I want that to be public information that I can go to without passwords and everything else and find out what the public schools are teaching.
Amen.
Okay.
Yeah, again, it's
You're right
out
about
there.
in a limited capacity, but I'm talking about everything publicly available for anybody to inspect and check out.
Okay, Diane, go ahead. I think we all understand the question.
Yeah, I would agree with what you're just saying. It should be very easy to find, and it should be for the general public to just go, if I've got a grandkid in 4th grade at this school, what is the curriculum that they're going over? Because it should be very easy to find out. And I think COVID exposed a lot of things that were being taught in schools. I mean, we've all heard the stories of parents walking by and the kids are on the online school, and it's like, wait, what'd they just say? So that's alerted a lot of parents. So I'm sure 2 years ago that question would have never been brought up. But I believe in transparency, and I believe not only the parents should have that information, but the public at large should have very easy access to that information.
Very good. Julie?
I believe in transparency also, and I don't think that we keep any of the curriculum or any of the textbooks a secret. If you want to give me your contact information after this meeting, I'd be happy to find out for you, because it's no secret.
I did it when I was running for school board, and both districts would not give me the information.
Well, I believe that.
Well, I'm happy to find it for you, because
Well, I want it for the general public. I want to be able to go in there, like she said.
I'm happy to ask if we can get that on an easily accessible location. I haven't ever had anybody ask for it from me before. But we don't keep any secrets. It's no secret. I would be happy to work on that with you.
Brent?
Well, when I ran also 2 years ago for school board, I had a friend ask me to run because she thought it would help her win. So I was trying to help her win this school board. But it did get me back into the school board thing. Okay. And I found the same thing that James did. When I talked to people, they said, well, we have a lot of different things that are online, and we have copyright issues, and him and Ha, and they just didn't let us look at the material. They didn't make a way for us to do that. So, on the face of things, we hear things like this, that, oh, it's fine, it's transparent, right? But it's the most opaque transparency you've ever seen in your life. And what's really dangerous is what we cannot see, and that's what teachers are teaching in their classrooms. Okay, so teachers will play YouTube videos, and with other kinds of information that are not part of the curriculum of the school system. So they'll, about mass incarceration of black men and that sort of thing, to try to fill up the prisons and things like that, and different kinds of critical race theory that are on YouTube videos and things like that. And they block the showing of YouTube videos that have a conservative viewpoint. So. I think that what we need to do, we need to be able to have a greater diversity of ideas and bring more conservative ideas into the school system, along with the liberal ideas that have been being, currently transmitted to our students. And we need to have perfect transparency. All the books need to be online, and they need to be promoted, that people look at them and see what we're studying.
Okay, very good. So many questions. Jason, you had your hand up very early on, so go ahead.
What do you see that you can do to trim the budget?
Good question. Okay, on this question...
It's the biggest property tax thing our state pays out. So what can you do to make it smaller?
Big money.
Okay, in this case, I'm going to go with Diane, then Julie, then Ron. Julie, Brent, then Ron. Okay, so Diane, you're up.
Yeah, so it is a massive budget that we have. It's over $800 million, and like you said, it's one of the largest budgets. in our entire state. So it's a very complicated budget. I think for me personally, I would assemble a team of people to go through the budget, because it might not just be one area, right? Since budgets are complicated and expansive, I would want to do an assessment of things that were promised with certain outcomes. The outcomes are not being delivered, and we're just looking at them based on their promises. And if those programs, those classes, whatever that might be, are not being effective, then I would want those to be removed. Obviously, I think there's probably an administration heavy in the budget that could be looked at. But I'd want to assemble a team of people that are very well versed in our economy, because the school budget does affect our local economy greatly. So I would want people from all different areas to help look through that and assess that situation. So that's how I'd handle that.
It is a very large budget. It is a very complex budget. The majority of the dollars goes to personnel. And the dollars are established, how much we get, by a finance formula that is created in Topeka. So we get the dollars that we get based on the students that we have, and we work our best as an entire district, board members included, using those dollars in the most effective way to educate kids. And for me, paying personnel well is important. I want the best teachers to come to Wichita Public Schools. I think Wichita is more difficult to teach in than the surrounding districts. Nothing meant to you, Hayesville. But we need to attract and retain the best teachers possible in Wichita. And that's where the majority of all our dollars go, is to pay teachers.
Mike? Okay. So to save money, it's, again, the complexity of the budget in itself is quite a challenge. There are probably ways to save money as far as contracts, maintenance. We did a field out at East High School. I'm not sure how many hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent, possibly about $1 million. But if you saw it before, the field looked pretty good. And so, of course, it was torn apart and we got another field put on there. So we get a lot of these reoccurring maintenance costs that come up, and they're expensive. So 10 years ago, you may have paid $20 to change the oil in your car. Well, today it might cost $40. So we have a lot of these reoccurring things that sometimes don't, in my opinion, don't need to be repaired. I went to North High, and we have 2 gyms, and I was told that, well, this gym needs to be repaired. Well, I went down and checked out the gym floor. It really didn't need to be, but if it's contractual and we're under that, it's got to be paid. And it's unfortunate we get into those kind of scenarios. The other one is just bids. We bid high, or I'm sorry, we try to bid low, but sometimes we end up paying some costs down the road that cost us because we got a low bid. Me personally, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit higher bid if we're going to have companies that provide really good work, and that's quality work, and it's going to stay around for a long time. So those are some of the things I think we can look at, but it's just like all of us. None of our electricity bills have ever gone down. They've always gone up, right? So it's kind of the same thing. It does increase for the overhead, and it's a challenge to get a handle on how to save even more money.
Brent? Well, I think that we need to give our principals incentives for keeping their budgets down, and also incentives for getting achievement. And we need to pay better teachers more. The teachers that get better achievement, better results for their kids. And just offering more money to teachers, according to statistics that I've studied, does not necessarily get you better teachers, because bad teachers want to make more money too. So you get bad teachers and good teachers when you pay more money. That alone is not enough. So you have to have incentives in place and you have to, see how the teachers are performing. You got to measure their performance. You got to measure their performance. And if principals are getting paid for performance bonuses when achievement increases, they're going to have the good teachers in front of the kids in front of the good teachers. If teachers teach more kids, then they should get a bonus for teaching more kids. And also, just like Diane said, we need to put together a team. We need to put together teams, not just the people in our school system, and we may need to pay them something to go and to do audits of the performance of our different groups in our school system. It doesn't make any sense, though, to give somebody a 16% raise in their salary, as we did for our superintendent, when achievement's going down every year. For the last 8 years, it's gone down. And now only 18% of people are at grade level in math. That's atrocious. Only 23% are at grade level in English and language arts. That's atrocious. We're crippling our society. We're perpetuating generational poverty. We got to turn that around. We got to help increase and encourage the nuclear family and strengthen the nuclear family in our schools, protect our kids, because the fatherless home is the biggest problem in America.
20 seconds.
That causes more of our juvenile delinquency than anything else.
I'd love to let you keep going. Okay, so Monica, I'm sorry you had the one question, and little Miss McCoy over here would like you. She's a student, so we're going to give this question to her. And oops.
What are they calling you?
So what we're going to do with this one is, Ron, I'm going to start you, and then we're going to kind of like go around the circle. Julie, then Brent, and then Diane. Okay, go ahead, Miss McCoy.
So I guess my question is, like, as a student, and granted I go to Bishop Carroll, so I'm not in the public school district, but I do have a lot of friends in the public school. I do have a lot of resources in the public school, and I understand what you're saying about, I guess, like how people aren't meeting grade level with a lot of different subjects. I guess my question is, I think, and I do just want to say that I think definitely, like, we have teachers like giving up 8 hours every day, like getting into school at 7 a.m., not leaving until like 4:30 to help with kids. And there's still teachers, walking the poverty line, making $35, $40K a year in households with multiple people. I think my question is, like, when it comes to all of these kids not meeting the requirement, and I think it does have something to do with the fact that, and this has been going on, you said, for quite a long time. It's been going on where, like, we're less and less and less kids have been meeting the requirement over the years. It might partially have something to do with the fact that we are not properly preparing children. You can't just throw a book at them and expect them to understand and figure out things on their own all the time. Those comprehension skills kind of come with time and age, and that's understandable.
Let's put this into a question.
Right.
Form a question now.
Almost there. I guess my question is, like, what do you feel like you have anything imperative that you can do to assess that situation where children are not meeting their grade levels in what they're doing and what they're doing?
That's actually a great question. Mm-hmm. So what do we do with children who are not up to par?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of intervention that goes on in schools and public schools. And just to kind of make just what you're talking about, and it kind of goes what Mr. Davis was saying as well, we could teach our children all these things all day long, but if it's not reinforced in the home, then it doesn't begin to solidify. They're not learning. So we can teach them about history, math, and science, and if they go home and mom and dad, or even just mom or dad, or whoever's taking care of our children, just lets them go on a video game or play with their phone for 6 hours or 8 hours, then a lot of that is lost. So what the teacher has to do is, now we have to intervene. And we have what's called intervention. So intervention things can be like tutoring, after school programs, supplemental work for the students. Like you mentioned about teachers staying over. So some of those teachers do that. And we try to identify, we test our children. Where are they on this scale? Are they at risk of failing or not meeting the standards as Mr. Davis was just talking about? So there's a lot of what we call safety nets in our schools that we really use to the best of our ability. But ultimately it comes down to that student, you know, and the student and the parents in that home to make sure that they're nurturing them to keep that learning going. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but again, if that doesn't happen, then the schools step in for various programs, various learning opportunities for the student to you know, get tutored and relearn or make sure that something makes sense to them.
Good. Very good.
And Ron is going to be the best answer because that's what his job is to teach kids.
Yeah.
And the ones that are behind that need to be caught up, he does that intervention work. But to go back to your question and to go back to Wichita Public Schools, we do attempt to have the intervention programs available for kids that can do that help. And yet it is a societal issue. It is what's happening at home. It is, you know, our situation of poverty. It is the challenge. I mean, I think diversity in Wichita Public Schools is one of our strengths, but the fact that we have so many languages that are spoken and so many students that English is their second language. So interventions help to bring kids up. Yes, we want to bring kids up. Yes, the reason for school is academics and to learn and to be able to be successful in life and to be able to get a job. We have a lot of great programs that teach job skills and give certifications if a student isn't one that wants to go to college. So, you know, you've got a great question there, which is what it's all about, is getting each one of those individual kids what they need to be able to learn and succeed. And the teachers in the classroom that know those kids, that are devoted to those kids' success, they're the ones that know the best what to do for those kids. One more?
Good. Brent?
Okay, well, the fact is, we've been failing. We've been absolutely failing. The safety net has not been working. And we do know that there are schools with 95% Black and Hispanic populations, with $26,000 a year average income, that all of the students are above grade level and most at level 4. And that's where we need to be competitive. We want to turn Wichita into an education destination. And the way to do that is by getting our job done and doing it right the first time. Teachers are the most important factor in education. And if you are training your teachers right, giving them the resources they need, making sure that they're prepared for classes, and you have principals that are in every single classroom in the school every day, encouraging those teachers, looking at what's happening with the students, not correcting the students, but teaching the teacher how to correct their students, improving the teacher, and where they're modeling in classrooms. We know that this is being done. The education gap, the gap has been closed in America in some schools, and we need to do it in Wichita. There's no excuse for it. These schools are willing to help us. They're willing to let us send teachers that are trained. We can almost certainly hire some of these people to come here and take care of our lower performing schools. And that's what we need to do. We need to do it immediately. And we need to not let one more year go by without turning things around for our students at every level. We can't just say we're just going to focus on early childhood reading. That's not even happening. At OK Elementary, they haven't done their assessments this year, so they haven't even started the reading group since the beginning of the year.
Right. 30 seconds.
And that's happening in all Wichita Public Schools. The eye is completely off the ball, and it needs to get right back on the ball, and we need to take care of business in USC 259.
Thank you, Brent. Diane?
Yeah, so I'd agree with what Brent just said. We cannot continue doing the things that we've been doing. We need to get a little bit creative and do things differently. And so there are plans, there's some charter schools that have some great ideas. And like Brent said, they are willing to come down and train because, you know, where you set the bar and the goals, people will rise and fall to those achievement levels. And if we just continue to lower the bar, then people will continue to meet those expectations. So if we set the bar very high, and try to get people to strive for that. And I do agree that the family life does make a big impact. You know, teachers are kind of the frontline people for during the day, and then the parents have all the rest of the time. So family life is super important. But we do need to bridge that gap between teachers and parents and students. That's that kind of 3-cog wheel of success for these kids. Because if you have a bad teacher and great parents, then that student's not getting very well educated. But if you have a great teacher, like what Ron was saying, and a poor home life, then that student's not being very well educated as well. It really is a community effort, but we do need to make some major changes because even before COVID happened, we weren't meeting very good expectations, and now with the COVID slide, things are not heading in the right direction.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Mark, I'm sorry, the one I want to ask is what I came for.
Go ahead, Monica. I mean, I'm going to run over on time here, so be concise.
Make it quick as I can. There's an ideology being pressured on the country, on every school, that they claim it causes, or it's for the purpose of social justice or racial justice.
Nobody can hear you.
Oh, we can hear.
Okay. And
Sorry.
really what it does is
I'll repeat the question.
it causes bias and prejudice and segregation and separation instead of what they claim it's supposed to do. Of course, it's critical race theory. It's not always called that in schools. They try to hide it. I want to know what your opinion is on it.
Okay, so the question is for these candidates, and we're starting with
Julie.
Julie, thank you. Julie, it's do you or do you not support critical race theory? If we could kind of make this and or critical race theory cloaked in some other name, okay? Do we need to suddenly say that we have a race problem when we were doing so well with it for so long?
I do not support critical race theory. I do not support it being taught in K through 12 schools.
Brent?
I think critical race theory is a divisive theory. So the 1619 Project is not history. The United States was not founded on the idea that white men are better than black men. That is not true. It was founded on the idea that we for economic opportunity and for religious and political freedom. And the slavery was a problem in the world before the United States was founded. You know, it was a much worse problem in the Caribbean and in South America than it was here. However, the breeding of slaves, you know, was more prominent here than anywhere else in the world. You know, and we definitely had an economy and a society that was predicated on slavery for a long time in the United States. And we fought a war, and 600,000 people died, you know, to settle that and free those slaves. And now it wasn't necessarily the main reason. The main reason that the war was fought was to keep the Union together. You know, over time, though, just because Abraham Lincoln didn't think that was the main problem to start with, he always thought slavery was evil. But he thought that we needed to keep together, and then slowly things would change. Okay, because it takes time for things to change. And the change came about quickly. He was taken out, and then fortunately the Reconstruction didn't go so well. You know, and so we kind of kept going with some bad laws and bad situations, but we were trying to change that in America, and we need to treat other people the way we want to be treated. We need to love one another as God loves us and Jesus loves us, and that's the way to help people get ahead. We need to educate our kids. The black children, white children, you know, Hispanic children, Vietnamese children, Filipino children, all of them can learn. All of them can succeed. America is a land of opportunity. They can achieve anything they want to achieve. We want to give them financial training, you know, from middle school through high school, so that they can be thinking about how to save, how to get ahead, how to get new jobs. even if they're going to college, they need to have technical training so that they'll be able to have jobs. Teachers are the most important factor. A great teacher can overcome any factor. They can overcome bad parents, they can overcome anything because they can inspire that child and they can help that child learn and they can help that child to be determined to turn their situation around. And so if we get our teachers trained and get them focused on teaching the way they need to be, we're going to see things change in USC 259.
Very good.
Mark, I'll make it quick.
Well, we got one more.
Okay, no, I don't support critical race theory. We'll keep it short and sweet.
Okay, very good. Benny, go ahead.
Ditto. Mine is that my daughter Sarah do work for Wichita Public School District. You know, all you guys are wonderful. I felt in my soul, this lady right here is right on the money. I like his voice. When he first walked in the room, I love what this man said. You know,
what's your question, Benny?
My question is, how are you going to be able to do it? Work with the parents, the students, and the teachers.
Oh, and me first?
Yeah, and I hope,
no.
just you only.
Oh, just me?
It's just for her.
Yeah,
Okay.
just for you. Because I feel in my soul that you can do it.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate the question. I'm a big person that likes to hear from a lot of different voices because I don't pretend to come here like I don't have the answers. I feel like I can grab a lot of people around town and we can get a bunch of smart people in a room and we can talk this out and we can come up with some really good ideas. So I really do just view myself as more of an orchestrator of, hey, you've got some different history and background and I want to hear your voice on these particular areas and let's get 5 or 6 other people with us and let's come up with a good plan. So I really view myself as a more collaborative person. And so I don't come to the table with all the answers, but that's what
You
I come
seem
with.
like you're very sincere. That honesty coming through, what all of us looking for.
Oh, well, thank
With
you.
that voice.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Ron? Oh, that was a question only for one.
Yeah, sorry guys.
So there we are, good. That's great. Okay, I'm going to take the question over here. I haven't been able to get to you tonight. Go ahead.
Thank you. The Sentinel put payroll up, the 259's payroll, and I'm wondering, I don't know how they decide who gets what paid. And that, all I could tell you,
Is that
the
for
first 8 pages, there were kindergarten teachers, 5 or 6 making $80,000 a year. How do you quantify that when a principal's making 70? Who makes that decision?
Is this just for the incumbents or for the challengers as well?
I don't know.
Okay,
But
so-
they need to cap that. You can't have a nurse making more than a doctor. You can't have a kindergarten
Fair
teacher
enough.
making more than,
Does
you know,
everybody understand the question? And did everybody hear the question? Okay, the question is on teacher salary and employee pay, and what rationale you would use for employee pay and teacher salaries. So we are starting with Julie, and did you start last time?
Not last time.
No.
Last time it was
No, we didn't
this
start
gal
with,
only.
I think
Yeah.
Brent, you
So
start.
quick.
We're gonna go from Brent to me then.
Okay. Well, you know, LeBron James makes more than his coach, right? So, I mean, if you have a star performing teacher, you pay him, okay? Well, if that kindergarten teacher gets everybody reading at a 3rd grade level in kindergarten, you pay them, you know, because they're a star. Okay, so now in every single role is important. There's not any single role that's not important in the school system. Now, the trend has been more and more administration. So I think that needs to get turned around. And we need to look at how we can trim that down because they're not teaching the kids, okay? Now, and we need to have principals more involved in teaching and training and keeping the teachers sharp and helping them be the best that they can be. So there are a number of different systems out there. One thing, if we want top-level teachers, we have to give them entry wages that will draw them away from other kinds of careers. Okay, so if you want a great math or science teacher, you're going to have to pay him what an engineer or what scientists would get paid over in the. So paying people front end and doing the retirement differently. So there are some studies that have been done on this. So Eric Hanishek out of
30
Stanford
seconds.
has done put a whole thing together. There were dozens of studies that have been done on that. And that's the sort of thing we want to be looking at to kind of change the way we do our pay system in USC 259. But sometimes the teacher is worth more than the principal.
You cap, every employee would have a cap to what you make by what you are at educated level at, other than NFL stars.
I don't think it means that education is not related to student achievement. So it doesn't matter what their education level is or how much experience they have.
If you
What matters
hang
is how
around
well
long
they teach.
enough, you get 80,000. Another one in starter, she doesn't get that. If you just hang around, take a few extra courses, there's no, you have to cap your worth. Nobody's worth 80,000. That's more than college PhDs are getting.
No.
Yes, really.
Yes.
I have one in my family. Thank you very much.
I'd rather have neither a cap nor a bottom limit, because I don't think people in Wichita deserve $15 an hour if they're doing minimum wage jobs. Why do you want to stop the top performers limit of earning? I don't want to do that.
That's a conversation for a whole nother meeting. I don't think there should be an upper or a lower limit on wages anyway. But we have 3 more people to answer the same question.
Yeah,
Go
so I would agree with a lot of what Brent just said. I believe in the free market. It gets a little complicated when it's government funded because it's not the free market. But you do have to compete with the free market with teachers, right? And we do want the best teachers. If we pay a lower wage, then we're gonna get, sometimes that quality meets that lower level. So I believe in more nuclear decisions. So the closer you can be to the decision, I think the better. So I don't believe in a lot of overall umbrella arches. I think if you've got a really good teacher that's very effective, and like Brent's example, if she's a kindergarten teacher getting these kids to read at a 3rd grade level, that's very, very valuable. And it's hard to quantitate that, but I would be much more likely to support a teacher like that than another administrative role that doesn't hit the classroom. Because I want to see more dollars hitting the classroom, not in a building that doesn't hit the classroom at all. So it's a complicated answer. I do see where you're coming from on that, but I would rather make the investment in the teachers who are actually facing the students. They're kind of the frontline workers when it comes to this, because they do make a direct impact on how much the kids are gonna be inspired, how much they're gonna learn, how much they're gonna want to excel in school. So I'm okay with making a good investment in the teachers.
You don't have to quit. You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just agree with what was just said. One of the things is that there's not a lot. What you're pointing out is true, but it's very, very small portion of our teaching, especially in 259. I taught with a teacher. She was she had a doctorate. She was a principal, and she was an interim superintendent of a surrounding school district. And she taught high school with me when I first went over to Hayesville. And I was just thinking to myself, God, I wonder how much she makes. I bet she's bringing it in pretty good. But, like what was said, she was worth it. She really was. She was an impactful teacher, lots of knowledge. So even though there are those cases out there, they're pretty far and few. And we do have steps that allow that to happen. But I was the only one teacher that I ever knew in 16 years that has done that. So I don't know if it's common.
There's 6 on the first 5 pages. There is a top. There is a cap. The steps and tracks that Ron was referring to, when you first hire on, you hire on a step in the lowest level for whatever your experience and job is, and then you move, not all years, because sometimes the budget doesn't allow it, but you move along the track and you cap out. And a person, if they end to the last track, they
might be 20 years before they retire and they don't move on the tracks. So there is a cap. I mean, again, I don't know these particular situations that you're referring to,
It's all
but
it's right there.
another reason sometimes teachers will be paid, one will be paid more than another, even though they have the same job, is because they do extra things. Like if they do coaching or supervise after-school activities, so that if beyond the standard teaching day they do something else, they get paid for that.
But they weren't listed.
Okay. Jennifer, is your question a yes or no? We are way over time.
It's just about the interventions.
More?
I just wondered.
Can you put it into a yes or no question? Because that's about what we can possibly squeeze
I
in.
guess, and that means it'll go directly to you. Because I have a grandson in Hayesville. You put masks back on him and I'll take him out of school. But anyways, I wonder, I have a kid who was in 259. I've got 12 of them. So we took her out and put her in Bishop Carroll. But they were already trying to do interventions in high school with her. And she was upset when we moved her to Carroll and they made her go back a year. And she needed to do that. Because in your system, she would have been passed forward anyways. And I don't think that that's the right way to do things. Is that what is happening? Is that how they do things?
Just to pass somebody in high school, I really can't answer that. One of the reasons why is because of the grading system, and if a teacher says if they made all D's, they're going to the next grade.
No, she only failed 2. She failed 2 classes.
And she was advanced to the next grade.
But
Well, so then you get into credits, because did she gain enough credits, and then you go send her over to Bishop Carroll. So that's where people like me come in, because we have what we call credit recovery for students like that, who may be a junior or a senior, but they've only gained enough credit to be classified as a sophomore or a freshman.
do you still help them then?
Of course, yes. Yep.
Even though she's at Carroll?
If she's at Carroll, unless she's has special needs, we will help her. If she has special needs, if she's on a IEP or a 504.
She does.
But yeah, other than that, no.
Because you guys were just gonna pass her on, and that wouldn't have served her at all.
Understood.
Okay, it's time for our closing statements, and we'll start with Julie. You got a 2-minute closing statement, asking people, not asking people to vote for you, but that's what you're here for.
That's what I'm here for.
Why we should vote for you and asking for the vote. So you got 2 minutes.
That is what we're here for, is to gain votes. That's what we're running. So in District 2, my name is Julie Hedrick. I would like for you to vote for me. I think, again, what I have to offer is the amount of experience that I have and the knowledge of the district that I have and the relationships that I have. I am able to advocate for things and collaborate for things because of those relationships and that experience. And I work for the students and their parents and the teachers, and if you have a concern or a need, I will listen and I will advocate for you.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Ron Rosales. I'm your candidate for the 6th District School area. Again, that's part of North Wichita, so any of the schools that feed into North High School, part of Northeast High School, and part of Heights High School. Excuse me. Again, I've experienced, so it's my 16th year in education, and prior to that, like I was saying before, I'm a retired Navy veteran. I did come in and out of Wichita to work in the aircraft industry, and again, really value all of our students. I see them every day. I have a pretty large family, a lot of young students within my family itself. I really value all of everybody's decisions. I'm the type of person that if you send me an email, call me, I will call you back. I'm sure Julie will testify. We're holding the phone out to hear sometimes, but you know what? We do have to hear it. We have to hear from both sides and then make a good balanced decision going forward. And so I really hope that you all will consider me, and I look forward to maybe seeing you guys later on in another forum. Again, my name is Ron Rosales, 6th District.
You answered that nicely.
Perfect.
Right on time.
Perfect timing.
Didn't waste a second. My name's Diane Albert, and I'm running for District 1. I would appreciate your vote on November 2nd if you want parent values to be respected, if you want parent decisions to be put back into your lap, if you want your students to have a voice in their decisions, whether it be health, whether it be schools, whether it be different programs, sports, what be it. If you want creative solutions that are new to the board to be brought together, then vote for me on November 2nd. So I would love to hear from everybody after this, and then moving forward too. But again, my name's Diane Albert, District 1. Thanks.
Very good.
Good job. A couple people didn't get to make it tonight. Hazel Stabler is a fantastic candidate from the 6th, also running for the 6th District. And for some reason, she said, I'm sure it was just an oversight, she didn't get an invitation or something that came to her. She said that today, so I don't know if that happened. But.
Hazel called me,
Okay.
and she wanted to know why I couldn't reach her on her out-of-state phone number, which is the only number that was left for the at the Election Commission office to get in contact with her.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to get a hold of Jason for the same reason.
I see.
No contact information. I tried very hard. I looked it up on Google. I tried everything and was not able to get in touch with her. I knew she existed, but there was no way, no email, no phone number. If I can't reach you, I can't reach you.
Okay, well, she's a clothing designer, and she's been pouring herself into the public schools. Wonderful person, taking care of kids at her own expense, and so she has a lot to offer. Also, Kathy Bond wasn't able to make it tonight because she had a family issue, and has somebody who's going to be put on suicide watch that she had to be with, and so, I mean, really, she just couldn't make it, and so. Just appreciate your time. I'm running for District 2. You can vote citywide for all of us. So we need to elect our candidate slate of 4 people in order for us to get a majority in the school board and to change things, because what we've been doing is just rubber stamping what the administration's been asking for the last 4 years, actually the last 8 years, right? And maybe as long as we can remember, unfortunately. And so if we want to get some changes and bring us to a world-class new level in USC 259, then we're going to have to get a change on the board, and then we're going to have to start implementing some of these other ideas, right? And you're going to listen to parents. We're going to get parents involved. 2 of my advisors have done more to get their parents involved with schools. Renee Erickson and Roger Erickson, turned their schools around here at Brooks Middle School. They didn't implement her ideas. They gave her a hard time, okay? Because she didn't want to let boys use girls' bathrooms, okay? And for one reason, okay? And she was ostracized for that, right? And that's what's been happening in USC 59. We got to stop that kind of thing, okay? And Roger just got where he could retire, even though he boosted Newton High School's achievement, out of the roof. So I've got good people advising me. We're going to change things for the better. Just vote for all 4 of us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brent. Okay. Thank you. Let's give them a healthy round of applause. Get so concerned about time, then the quality doesn't stay, and I want this to be a quality meeting. We are going to do a endorsement in each of these races, or at least we're going to open it up for someone to make a motion to do the endorsements if they feel fit to do that. It would be inappropriate to have the candidates present for that. So if you guys would like to sit down, you're welcome to. You can either leave with our gracious thank you. If you do get endorsed, you will be hearing from me, and we'll look for a place to present the endorsement certificate to you. If you don't get endorsed, we may or may not be endorsing in that particular race, but that's what we're going to talk about here. And so if we could have you guys, you're welcome to wait, see what happens. Go ahead and get something to eat. It's on me if you want.
Yeah, I'll stick around.
So, whatever you'd like to do.
teach at 9 o'clock, so I've got
Yeah.
a student here.
Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, you guys. But I will stay around.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Can you bring any of these that are left? If anybody didn't take any?
I'll take it.
Okay. Okay,
Mark, what's Diane's last name?
pardon me?
Albert.
Diane Elbert. Okay, I guess at this point, what we would do is open up the balloting. Does anyone want to endorse in the first district? In the first district, we have Diane Elbert, who is running in opposition to, let me go ahead and get the other first district candidate. One second here. Bear with me a second. She's running against Ben Blankley. And so Diane was the one sitting here second from the end. And Ben could not make it to the meeting tonight. He did respond.
She has a check
To be a member.
to be a member,
You have to endorse.
and she votes.
Oh, yes, if you are here and you already paid your dues, yes, you can vote. You're a voting member then.
So
That-
are we, question on the vote, since we had a contested group here, is it
Right.
one or the other? Or are we doing that for each district?
No, she would be running against someone who was not here, who is the incumbent. She is the challenger in District 1. We're not talking about any other district at the moment, okay? Just about, that's the way I feel about it. She showed up and somebody else didn't. Now,
Okay.
I understand these hard cases where they can't come for, somebody has a relative on suicide watch or something.
In an essence of time, make a motion to vote to endorse Diane Albert.
Okay, I have
I second the motion.
a motion and a second from Jason and from Debbie Baker. I almost said Debbie Kendall. I don't know where that came up today. Anyway, so we have a motion and a second to endorse Diane Albert for the first district. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All in favor of voting for Ben Blankley signify by saying aye. Okay, so she gets it unanimous. She gets it hands down. Okay, the second district is Julie Hedrick's. That she is the incumbent, the one who is sitting next to me here, and Julie is running against on the second district Brent Davis, who was sitting at the very end over here. Do we want to make an endorsement there at all?
I move to endorse Brent Davis.
I have a motion from Monica to endorse Brent, and I have a second from James Kilpatrick in the back to second that motion. All in favor of endorsing,
Davis?
I'm sorry, of endorsing Brent Davis, the guy at the end, signify by saying aye. Aye. All in favor of endorsing Julie, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it carries for Brent. So any challenge on that? We need a division? I don't think so. Okay, so far we've got 2 endorsements, 2 people that were attending here. All right, the next.
Question, are they both running for the same district?
Yes. Yeah, they are both running in
Second district.
second district.
2?
Yes.
In District 2.
Okay.
Now, in District 5, Kathy Bond is not here tonight. She is running against Mia Turner. And if a lot of you people here, or several of you, may know Kathy Bond. You may or may not want to endorse her. I will open that up for discussion right now, whether or not you go ahead, James.
I make a motion, we endorse Bob.
Okay.
I second.
Debbie is seconding that.
Point.
Discussion on that?
Small point, if we're doing multiple choice endorsements, there should be an option for none of the above.
Well, on a voice vote, this is the way you would do it. I think you don't do a vote for none of the above.
Well, you're voting for the incumbent. When you don't vote for the other person, you vote.
I think the question might be rephrased as, do we want to endorse that district or not endorse?
No,
That's make it complicated. Either you want to endorse them or you don't. It just says simple.
Right.
We know Kathy Bond, she has come to these meetings many times with her husband, we all know her.
Right.
She's part of our group. I think we should endorse her.
Okay. Any other discussion on the 5th district? Alan, do you have any feelings on the 5th district, Mia Turner?
No, I support Kathy Bond.
Okay. I don't even know Mia Turner at all. I know Kathy Bond very well, and if I were voting, which I won't be voting, I would definitely support Kathy Bond.
I move to bring it to a vote.
Okay. Debbie, we have Debbie's motion, and do I have a second on Debbie's motion?
Second.
Again, Jason Carmichael. All in favor of endorsing Kathy Bond even in her absence, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, and I should have said for endorsement of Mia Turner. Does anyone want to endorse Mia Turner? I see none. Okay. So now we're down to the last race, and that is the 6th district between Holly Terrell, who we talked about tonight but who's not here, and Ron Rosales, who was sitting second place from me here. Should we make an endorsement in that race? Ron, the two, remember the two here were incumbents. Ron is already the school board member.
Hazel Stabler was the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, there should be a statement.
I'm sorry, yes, Hazel is the third candidate there. She's the one that was upset with me and called me and said, why didn't you invite me? Why wasn't I on this? I said, well, I tried as hard as anybody can. I can't, what I do is threaten the election commissioner's office if they don't tell me how to get in touch with her. They gave me every bit of information they could, and she didn't release contact information. Then I put her on for the meeting tonight, and she called about around noon or so today and said she can't make it. So, I bent over backwards. Tried to get a hold of her, unable to get a hold of her. She gets a hold of me. I change everything, put her on, and she's canceled. And no reason giving why she's canceled. That's all I know about her.
Well, I make a motion to endorse Hazel Stabler.
Do you know her?
I know of her.
Okay. Does anybody else know Hazel?
I just want to say this, that Diane Albert, who was here, Brent Davis, who was here, and Kathy Bond, who she's like our family, those three plus Hazel are running as a block, sort of.
They're gonna print stuff up.
They're gonna print flyers with all four of their names because it's gonna take four of them to be the majority on the school board to overturn some of the things that the school board is and has been doing that we don't like. And they say they listen to all voices, but they don't. So we want, I'm just gonna put it out there, these four, including Hazel, in spite of the fact that she wasn't here, we don't know what happened, but she's one of those four, pro-life, anti-CRT, and all the other things we don't like.
What's the last name?
Stabler.
That's what I vote for.
B, S-T-A-B-L-E-R. So, with that, she moved.
So we, again, like Jason brought up before, we really have two questions here. Should we even endorse in this race?
Yes.
we should endorse?
Yeah, there's enough people that know what's going on with the candidates.
Right.
If they choose to endorse, they endorse.
Did you have a comment over here? Anything
I'm
further?
not a voting member, but I know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
If you don't do these four, you will not change anything. You'll have more of the same.
That's right.
This is your once in a lifetime. I've worked in
That's
politics
right.
a long time. If you do not grasp this golden
That's right.
opportunity, you will never get it in.
In fact, this race, these four candidates, they're becoming known nationally because it's going to overturn our school board. It's going to change it.
This is the race.
These
yeah.
four. This is our time to change, make this
Okay,
change.
Debbie, make the motion then.
She did.
So the motion is to vote to endorse one of the three District 6 candidates.
I endorsed.
Yeah, which one?
She moved to endorse Stabler.
And then do we pick Stabler, yay, Terrell,
Well,
yay, Rosales, yay?
Okay, let's break it into two votes. How many of you think that we should endorse in the 6th district?
Yes.
Second,
Okay, that's almost every hand in here, so.
Six, is it the sixth?
District 6, yes.
In District 6,
It
okay.
doesn't matter, you're going to have all districts. to
Okay,
vote
so
on.
if we're going to endorse, then the question, do I have a motion to endorse Hazel?
I did.
Okay, we already have that. Okay, so then we have a vote here. All in favor of endorsing Hazel, who is not here tonight, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I hear nothing. So we've got 4 endorsements then. And that is the 4 conservatives that I would like to know a little bit more about Hazel before I endorse her. But she was nice on the phone, but
Yeah, we don't know what happened there.
Right,
But
right.
we know her,
Right,
her
okay,
core.
I know.
We know what she's made of because she's aligning herself with these other 3 who are against CRT.
Right,
Settle.
okay, I understand, and I understand the 4, I've heard about them now for a few months, but I don't know Hazel, so. Alan, go ahead. Oh, they did, okay, well, that's important. Hopefully they've done a candidate questionnaire and so on. Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay, I'll go out and tell them, but let me finish the agenda here first. That brings us down to, what happened to our, here we go, L. The National Federation of Republican Assemblies, as you know, we are a state subchapter of a national group. We are meeting in Scottsdale, Arizona in October, if you look on your agenda, 8th, 9th, and 10th. I know it's difficult to go and so on, but it's really worth it. I, of course, intend to go. I have not missed one of these in, gosh, about 15 years or something, I don't know. Anyway, we just recently, like as of a few days ago, got Joe Arpaio as one of our speakers. Still trying to get Donald Trump to come. Charlie Kirk, Congressman Andy Biggs, of course he's from Arizona, and Paul Gosar. It should be a good meeting, and I'm looking forward to going. If you are going, talk to me. We'll talk about pooling rides and maybe pooling rooms and so on, and trying to do it in an economical way. On item M, if we have any other candidate here that wants to speak, I want to open it up to that, and then seeing none, I'm going to go with Brian. You have, Jason, what do you got? Jason, I hear you might be running as a
Yes,
write-in.
sir. I am a former candidate in the primary for the Wichita District 3.
Come on up, stand up here.
And I am running a write-in candidate, mainly because neither of the current candidates I feel are worth voting with our conservative values. The one's a very liberal Democrat. It's kind of funny because he's a brother of a Republican state representative. They have wild Thanksgivings. And the guy who we voted not to endorse last month because of his life choices, the way he is. His voting record speaks for itself on the city council. That is, he's running a very progressive and it's aligned with Brandon Whipple. And he's essentially Brandon Whipple's talking point. So he wants to spend all kinds of money that the city doesn't have. So since
Part SOGI, S-O-G-I.
he is SOGI.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He is why the SOGI was brought up in the first place. That's the only reason why they selected him.
They put that vote off till October.
Yeah, and it's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 12th.
Like next week.
The 12th, October 12th.
2 weeks.
You're talking about the NGO?
Yeah.
SOGI.
SOG.
So, the main disruptor is to, one, really win and become a voice of our
Voice of reason.
conservative South Wichita. And there are enough to vote me in if
What's your
if I
last
get
name?
the word.
What's your last name?
Carmichael. Yes. And that's the challenge. The voting turnout has always been, in the city election, less than 1,500 for the last 2 decades. And I've got a list of 2,400 likely voters that are hard right and right Republican voters. And we've got to go give them my name, make sure they know. In the primary, I knocked on 6,000 doors. And in the entire election, only 1,200 people voted. I knocked on Republican doors, the same people 3 times. 1,200 people 3 times.
Tell them how many shoes you wore out.
Well, actually 5 pair of shoes, for real.
Jason, we really have to move along.
Well, anyway,
Yeah, they're closing shop out there.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
going home.
Capitalism, it works.
Okay, Brian, did you want
In
to
the interest of
speak?
time, I'll formulate,
Oh, okay.
I'll
Fair
push
enough.
it to next month.
Michelle?
Can we vote to endorse him now?
No, we can't do an endorsement vote now. It would be, yeah, it would be inappropriate. I don't have the people here, and we don't have the notice to go out to people. That should have been, if we'd had a former notice on this, and I could have written this as an agenda item. This is off agenda. It really wouldn't be an appropriate thing to do. You can certainly support
We're meeting
it.
in October.
We have the national meeting in October, so we don't have a Kansas meeting. We may have to have a special meeting then. That's a possible for late October. Because the NFRA meeting is early October, so we normally wouldn't. Okay, so number N, we're down to N on the agenda. Obviously, we had 5 new members join last time. Jason was one of them. Thank you, Jason. He joined as a supporting member. Much appreciated.
Who do you give that to?
Yeah, I'll give them a go.
The Wichita Pachyderm meets on Fridays on the 9th floor of the Ruffin Building. Tomorrow, we have the City Council speaking. And now this is first district, but Jason, I hope you're there again, and I hope that they'll let you make an announcement there, because what you're trying to do is amazing. And so maybe we can get you some exposure there at the Pachyderm tomorrow. The last item on the agenda is, as I was just saying here, the October KRA meeting is our national meeting. And in times past, when we have a national meeting, then that's the meeting for that month. These are not always held in October. Oftentimes in August or September. So we normally would not be meeting in November, December, because those conflict with Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that brings us to the adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All right, Jim, thank you, Jim. You're saving me here. These people want to argue with me, I think. So we've lost by attrition most of the group, but we have a motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. This meeting is over.